It is such an honor to be here with you tonight for the first ever induction ceremony for the Greater Victoria Business Hall of Fame presented by RBC. We are here to recognize some truly exceptional people for their substantial contributions to business, industry, and the community that we love so much. I would like to begin tonight by acknowledging we are gathered on the unceded territory, ancestral territory of the Lekwungen-speaking nations, in particular the Songhees and Esquimalt nations, who have been guardians and stewards of these lands for millennia.
Thank you. So just on behalf of Songhees Nation, we thank you for acknowledging our uncle, our chief, and inviting Songhees Nation here to be a part of this great evening. It is a little bit nerve-wracking being in such a big group. Some of us, it's the first time in a large setting like this out of the pandemic, but we're all moving forward in the best way we can, and Songhees Nation is here to be a part of that. So thank you, Chamber. Well wishes to all of you this evening, to all the inductees and award winners. You know, I was flipping through the book there, and you know, my uncle got to work with some of those individuals that are also being honored tonight. So closing that circle for me and seeing that is a huge honor. So on behalf of Songhees Nation, many hajkas and enjoy your evening. Thank you.
The Business Hall of Fame is proudly presented this evening by RBC. I would very much like to welcome Jonathan Doe to the stage to share a message from RBC with us this evening. Jonathan is Vice President, Commercial Financial Services at RBC. He leads a team of commercial banking relationship managers supporting entrepreneurs right across Vancouver Island. Ladies and gentlemen, from RBC, Jonathan Doe.
As tonight's presenting sponsor, RBC is a proud partner of the Victoria business community for over 100 years. Thank you everyone for joining us to celebrate the amazing contributions the Hall of Fame inductees have made to their communities, creating a lasting legacy. We are thrilled to be here to celebrate the amazing accomplishments that tonight's inductees have done to help their communities prosper and thrive. And thank you to the Victoria Chamber of Commerce for the amazing evening. Thank you, everyone.
Thanks very much, Jonathan, RBC, and all of our event sponsors for making this really extraordinary event possible. We have a very busy night. So we've had a busy night so far. Our inductees gathered for a reception prior to the start of this event where they could reconnect with their friends and associates, many for the first time since the start of the COVID-19 pandemic. You were here. They entered the venue quite resplendently on the red carpet where they were introduced and welcomed by all of us in attendance as they took their seats here in the Victoria Conference Centre. The people we are celebrating tonight come from a wide range of industries, experience, backgrounds, and cultures. They represent what can be accomplished when you have the vision, the drive, and support of a community to continue forward. These inductees have shown regional leadership, insightful vision, and a sustained and significant commitment to the prosperity of the region that we care about so much. We honor and thank them tonight for their outstanding commitment as they continue to inspire us and our future business leaders. Now, you may have cast your eyes to my left here. Tonight's inductees will receive this beautiful Bentwood box designed by contemporary formline artist Jessica Joseph. Jessica was born and raised in Victoria on Songhees Nation's reserve. She is passionate about community-engaged practice and building strong and sustainable relationships grounded in Lekwungen ways of knowing, being, and doing. Jessica is dedicated to lifelong learning through her art and through creating inspiring works for future generations, and these are beautiful pieces of art. The theme was chosen to be Garry Oak, the Garry Oak system. Now, the Garry Oaks were shared as scientific resources and were used in traditional medicines and still are. Jessica wanted to share the beauty that each of these trees carry. Sharing these pieces creates representation and curiosity. It shares how our culture and nature grow together in harmony. The resiliency of our ecosystems inspired the illustrations to come to life. The Bentwood boxes feature a Gary oak leaf, a western trillium, a Sierra pea vine, and an orange honeysuckle. We were so honored earlier tonight to have had a welcome protocol from Chief Ron Sam of Songhees Nation, who spoke from his heart about the opportunity to work together on reconciliation and to create a better world for all of us. It's time now, my friends, to meet and celebrate our 2022 Business Hall of Fame inductees. Now, the first two groups of inductees we will meet are foundational inductees. They are 14 past recipients of the Chamber's former Lifetime Achievement Award. So here are the first 7 inductees.
John Chew's business empire began when he brought the first backhoe to Vancouver Island in 1951. The skeptics who questioned his tactics motivated his determination. John treated his employees like family and his customers like friends, and his business grew into one of the island's largest excavating and civil construction firms. His natural entrepreneurship shone in interests as diverse as Victoria Harbour Ferries, the Canadian Western Bank, and Beachcomber RV Park. His generosity was legendary, and his philanthropy was done quietly, supporting community-shifting events like the 1994 Commonwealth Games and life-changing programs like the David Foster Foundation. John was an avid golfer who was known to give his grandchildren putting lessons in his living room. John said, "The community makes you what you are. It is the responsibility of business to find ways to give back," which he did through his 87 years.
In 1962, Bob Wright started a small company with $600 and a dream. He built a marina for pleasure craft, which grew into the Oak Bay Marine Group in Canada, the US, and the Bahamas. Bob was passionate about the ocean and its denizens, supporting many marine and aquatic organizations, including gifting $11 million to the University of Victoria's School of Earth and Ocean Sciences. He was also a part of building our film sector. In 1970, Bob took a Hollywood producer on a tour to find a location for 5 Easy Pieces starring Jack Nicholson. This led to more film productions in the region and the creation of the Greater Victoria Film Commission. Beyond the Sea, he supported the Symphony, Art Gallery, and was a part of the creation of the Gates of Harmonious Interest in Chinatown. Bob was described as relentless, kind, larger than life, hardworking, stubborn, and creative, and he lived life fully over his 82 years.
Alex Campbell started in the grocery business as a student in Vancouver, but his move to Vancouver Island in 1973 started his 50-year career as a giant in the grocery industry. First came the 49th parallel in Ladysmith. In 1977, he and business partner Ernie Skinner opened the first Thrifty Foods. Ernie retired 14 years later, and Alex continued to expand the Thrifty Foods chain to 20 stores before selling to Sobeys in 2007. The connection between Alex, the Campbell family, their employees, and community is legendary. Mr. C, as he was affectionately known, was a constant supporter of community programs large and small, most notably raising $12.3 million for the Victoria Hospitals Foundation. Alex had the respect and friendship of all who knew him, including competing grocers. His outlook on life was obvious by one of his favorite sayings: "Life is short. Eat your dessert first."
Gordon Denford was born in England, but was evacuated to Canada at age 13 during World War II. He landed in Winnipeg, where he studied at the University of Manitoba, but had to withdraw in his 4th year due to financial constraints. Needing a job, he joined a heating equipment manufacturer and quickly rose to senior management. By 1953, his parents had relocated to Vancouver Island. Gordon joined them and started his own heating company, which expanded into Denford Electric. Shifting gears, he began building first apartment buildings, and then Victoria's first condominium building in 1966. Next came a structural steel company, followed by a paving company and another construction company. Projects continued as his vision for Berwick retirement communities began to appear. Volunteerism and philanthropy have always defined Gordon, supporting schools, tourism, among other things, and something continued now by his family. Gordon is mostly retired, enjoying rural life on the peninsula in his 95th year.
Cedric Steele grew up on his family farm in South Africa, dispatching dangerous snakes and learning the skills of a trader operating his family's farm store. By the time he was 26, he was a realtor in Vancouver, managing a commercial division. Soon after, he purchased his first apartment building. In 1972, Cedric Steele Realty began, and 2 years later, Cedric and his family took over operations of Prospect Lake Golf Course, after which Victoria became home, and Cedric got involved with the Chamber. Cedric's support for community has been robust, ranging from local charities to education, and of course his greatest passion, the Navy. He was appointed an honorary captain in 1997 and became a key liaison in integrating the business community with the business of the base. He created a visible legacy in the Inner Harbor by co-chairing the Homecoming Statue Project. Cedric continues to enjoy life on the shores of Prospect Lake.
For Terry Farmer, positive change has been a constant in his life. Terry began giving back by joining the Victoria Junior Chamber when he was just 22 and then becoming the youngest chamber board president at 33. He left briefly to attend UBC and then off to Montreal to work for Royal Trust. But the threat of promoting him to Toronto was enough to encourage him to return to Victoria. Terry saw a need and he opened up a motor inn, which eventually led to the creation of Accent Inns and Hotel Z, a company now run by Terry's daughter Mandy. Father and daughter still collaborate on all the important elements of running the business. Terry's record of service to his industry and community is long, serving on many boards locally and nationally, and recognized for his leadership far and wide. His generosity of spirit and energy goes on, as does Terry, splitting his time between Victoria and Pender Island.
Keith Dagg was born in Saskatchewan, but by the time he was 6, the family had relocated to BC, and at the age of 25, Victoria became home. Keith's working life began early, joining Imperial Oil at 15. Over the next 10 years, he worked his way up from the mailroom to become area sales manager. Then came a partnership with Claire Copeland in 1964 to grow CFAX Radio until it was sold to Mel Cooper. Keith and Claire went on to create Copeland Communications, an advertising agency that grew to become the largest on the island. Keith has always been a proud community supporter, bringing revenue and recognition to Greater Victoria through his work with national and international golf, soccer, and curling tournaments. Keith encourages people to pursue their aspirations and find success. He guides clients and colleagues with clear common sense. And as a true marketer, Keith will tell you, nothing happens until someone sells something.
That is an impressive list, wouldn't you say? My goodness, these are founders, inspiration. And now the Business Hall of Fame inductees and representatives will be presented with their Bentwood Box Award. Moira Hawkes, Chamber Board Treasurer, is presenting the award to Jonathan Chu. His son Des is accepting on his behalf. So Des, please come forward. Brooke Kostelski, Oak Bay Marine Group, is presenting Bob Wright's award to Bob's wife, Yoon Wright. Kristen Arbez of Thrifty Foods presenting Alex Campbell's award to Alex's son, Lauren, who is here. Jonathan Doe, RBC, presenting to Gordon Denford. Chris Work, Chamber Board Vice Chair, presenting to Cedric Steele. And Margaret Lucas, former City of Victoria Councillor and Chamber of Commerce Governor, is presenting Terry Farmer's award to Chris Campbell tonight. Gary Hollick, Times Colonist, presenting to Keith Dagg. Congratulations to all the inductees and their families. Thank you for all you have done to move business forward in the Greater Victoria region. Congratulations to you all. We'll be right back with our second group of Business Hall of Fame inductees in just a moment.
Support for our local businesses is more important than ever. That's why RBC has partnered with the Chamber Business Hall of Fame Awards to celebrate the positive role models who have paved the way for the success of so many Victoria businesses. We are inspired by this diverse group of visionary leaders. On behalf of my colleagues who live and work in Greater Victoria, I thank you for joining us in honoring leaders who have helped our community prosper.
Welcome back. Next up, our second group of foundational inductees. These individuals are also past recipients of the Chamber's former Lifetime Achievement Award. Let's meet them now.
Try as he might, Bob Skeen has had a difficult time retiring. His working life began with a paper route at age 12 and quickly became a supervisor overseeing other carriers. He then went on to work for his father's trucking company. In the mid-1960s, Bob became an accountant and worked extensively in the tech sector. He became VP of Finance for BC Systems Corporation before privatizing a portion of that operation into High-Tech Systems, which managed the data center for the provincial government. Still busy working, Bob beat a cancer diagnosis and then retired. He bounced forward from that retirement, though, to undertake a project to grow a chamber committee into what is now Viatech. Bob retired several more times over the years, but first WCG, various boards, and then Royal Roads just kept pulling him back. Bob, thanks for refusing to retire.
Naz Rashidi was born in Kenya and studied to be a pharmacist in Aberdeen, Scotland. He operated a pharmacy in Nairobi for a few years, but due to political unrest, he moved to Vancouver Island. His first pharmacy was in Colwood, and over time, Naz created the Heart Pharmacy brand. From the beginning, Naz treated customers as he would friends, going above and beyond to meet their needs and promote healthy living. Naz is known for bringing the World Partnership Walk to Vancouver Island, and for almost 30 years, his passion has been to fight global poverty. As an Ismaili Muslim, he is driven to be kind, generous, and fair, working tirelessly to create a positive dynamic between all faiths. In 2010, 2 strokes seriously impacted his well-being, but his faith and spirit remained strong, as did the love and support of his family. His personal prescription for a good life is a healthy dose of humanity, humility, honor, inclusion, philanthropy, and compassion.
When people work together to collaborate on things that matter for them, they share the successes they create, and that certainly defines Linda and Murray Farmer. For Linda and Murray, their shared philanthropy is a labor of love. This powerful pair have made a profound impact on the education landscape in Greater Victoria. Both have spent countless hours raising millions of dollars for organizations, but education is the cornerstone of their efforts. Linda was part of the Camosun College Foundation, while Murray served on the UVic Board of Directors. Together, Linda and Murray co-chaired the Camosun College Trademark of Excellence program, and they co-chaired the campaign to establish Sydney's Shaw Centre for the Salish Sea. The Farmers converted part of their central Saanich home into an equestrian education centre for hosting visits from children. They both agree that our best natural resource is our people. As Linda says, when opportunities come your way, take them. You'll grow as a person, and anything is possible.
George Neldon Cooper was born in the shadow of Signal Hill in St. John's, Newfoundland, below the tower used by Marconi to receive the first radio signal. Obviously, a harbinger of the life ahead. The family relocated to Vancouver in his teens. A later move to the island resulted in George Cooper becoming Mel Cooper when the radio station manager at his first job told him Mel was a better name than George. He returned to Vancouver and worked his way up to station manager of CKNW. He returned to the island, purchasing CFAX, shifting the station's format from music to news, and soon dominated the local ratings. The radio station and Mel personally were strong supporters of the community, helping dozens of organizations and creating Santa's Anonymous. From sports to arts to fundraising for Janice Place, Mel led the charge. As Mel always says, I like to see the bright side of life, and I feel good about what I do. And Mel, we feel good about it too.
Before emigrating to Canada from Great Britain in 1952, Eric Sherman's youth was spent in a series of orphanages. He saw posters promising a new life in North America, so when he could, he left for the blue skies of BC. He tried his hand at agriculture in the Cowichan Valley before deciding real estate was his calling, and soon he was working on big developments and financing agreements. Eric rose to a high echelon of influence among business leaders in Greater Victoria, but it was his love for the arts that drove him to raise millions of dollars through his role as auctioneer at more than 500 charity fundraisers. Eric was a recipient of an honorary law degree from UVic in 1998, Order of BC in 1999, Order of Canada in the year 2000. Eric Sherman left us one day after his 88th birthday, after a life of being a man of action and auction.
Gordy arrived in Canada in 1967 from India. After working in sawmills and department stores in the north, he returned to India, married his wife Ravinder, and came back to start a new life. The first Dodd's Furniture opened soon after on Quadra Street, growing over the years to the current store on Finlayson Street, as well as stores in Nanaimo and Campbell River. As the business grew, so did Gordy's profile and philanthropy. He established his own local brand, and generations of Islanders have seen Gordy reflect their cultural icons. Success has meant he can follow his faith and heart to help the most vulnerable among our population. Annual holiday dinners are served to those who have no other access to festive hospitality. With his roots in mind, Gordy also supports families in India to help improve the lives of thousands. Gordy is an exceptional citizen and one of the most recognizable faces on the island. And remember, he won't be undersold.
When Bill McCready was a child, his family left war-torn Britain in 1942 and settled in Esquimalt. When his parents needed to relocate to San Diego for work, Bill decided Greater Victoria was where he wanted to build his life. Sports coaches and other families stepped in to help with that goal, and that generosity of spirit inspired Bill, who's used his success in business to support athletics and families however he can. Bill became an accountant and eventually started his own firm to help local businesses. He worked with the chamber and the tourism sector to do just that. He also extended a helping hand across the ocean to build a relationship between Victoria and its sister city, Morioka, Japan. Bill says if you get satisfaction from your job, work isn't work, it's fun. Thanks for the fun, Bill.
And now, once again, the Business Hall of Fame inductees and representatives will be presented with their Bentwood Box Award. Logan Foth, Aspen Films, is presenting to Bob Skeen. Yasmin Natu, Cascadia Liquor, is presenting to Dr. Naz Rashidi. Jonathan Dick of the Victoria Foundation is presenting to Linda and Murray Farmer. Marshall Birkin from TELUS Business presenting to Mel Cooper. Christina Clark, Chamber Board Secretary, is presenting to Eric Sharman's son, Shane Arsons. Rob Germain, Czech Media Group, is presenting to Gord Dodd. And Stephanie Kilner, Commissionaires, is presenting to Bill McCready. Ladies and gentlemen, can you please join me in putting your hands together in uproarious applause for our first 14 inductees. What a great legacy they have left for us. Up next, we will meet the 5 inductees selected this year by the selection committee to enter into the Greater Victoria Business Hall of Fame.
Support for our local businesses is more important than ever. That's why RBC has partnered with the Chamber Business Hall of Fame Awards to celebrate the positive role models who have paved the way for the success of so many Victoria businesses. We are inspired by this diverse group of visionary leaders. On behalf of my colleagues who live and work in Greater Victoria, I thank you for joining us in honoring leaders who have helped our community prosper.
It's now my great pleasure to introduce you to the 5 inaugural 2022 Business Hall of Fame inductees. Now, these inaugural inductees were selected by a committee of representatives from across a wide range of businesses and experience in Greater Victoria. Thank you again to the selection committee for the time and care they took in selecting today's inaugural inductees. The first woman to hold the position of President of the Chamber, Helen Beerness, embraced change and was driven to make Greater Victoria a better place.
She never used the fact that she was a woman to sort of get things done. You know, I watched her go in and sit with a group of men and be the best spoken, the most decisive, the most like, this is where we're going. She was a great role model in that aspect of like putting me into a position to work as a server for her and her business partner here in Victoria at the Campbell's Palace restaurant. And that's where my odyssey started with Helen.
As you know, she was the president of the chamber at one stage, and she was very active, just got out and did things. And the other great thing that she did, she was the chair of the Victorian Days Festival. And that was a large festival that we had in Victoria to encourage tourists to come here.
Her business sense was on the dollar. She was somebody who didn't see gender as an issue on what position you wanted to work for. So there was never anything that was sort of like out of your reach if you wanted to do something. I watched her mentor a lot of young ladies when I worked for her. And I also got to know that prior to her being in the restaurant business, she had a finishing school here in Victoria. She had a television show here in Victoria. Helen's business to me was a restaurateur plus marketer plus just overall savvy businesswoman.
Oh, she was very inspiring, yeah. She was firm, but she was humble in a way. She loved to have fun, and she was just a great lady.
You know, it's a great loss. We miss her big time, but she's around us. We can feel her.
John is presenting Helen Beerness's award to Cheryl Wirch-Rickman, accepting the award on behalf of Helen's family, who sadly were not able to be with us here this evening. As mentioned, Helen is here in spirit. Congratulations to Helen and her family on this induction award. Our next inductee was known for creating opportunities for an inclusive economy. Chief Robert Sam led the Songhees First Nation for 16 years.
You know, I think the impact he had was a community-wide impact.
He didn't impose his own views on the community. He went to the people and asked what they wanted.
Chief Robert Sam, I think, in my words, dedicated his life to the Songhees Nation, but also to nations straight across Canada.
And he was on council here. He was councillor for my late dad, who was chief for a long time, his councillor. Then he became a chief, and then from there on, it just carried on.
He's a great defender for the rights of the Songhees people, the Douglas treaties. He was very community-minded. He wanted to make sure that any decisions that were made by him were benefited to the Songhees people.
Well, obviously, Chief Sam wanted to look after his people, wanted to make sure that they were part of a process, and they wanted to be they wanted to be heard.
Where we're standing now, the Songhees Wellness Center is, I think, his biggest accomplishment, you know, along with his council colleagues back in the day when this dream was being talked about.
What Chief Sam would not say actually said a lot. Some people would actually sometimes say too much and try to push too much, but when Chief Sam was quiet, you knew that he wasn't very happy.
I would just like to add and thank the Chamber for, you know, really thinking of our late chief and seeing his accomplishments and all the work that he did for the 4+ decades that he led our community.
Jonathan Doe of RBC is presenting the award to Chief Ron Sam, accepting the award on behalf of Chief Robert Sam, his family, and the Songhees Nation. Congratulations to Chief Sam and his community. Our next inductee is fondly remembered as a catalyst for connecting business people in Victoria. Claire Copeland knew the value of a good team.
My father got his start in business in radio in Montreal, and he married my mom in Montreal, and then he moved to Vancouver in 1952 and worked for a radio station there for 8 years. But he decided that he wanted to start his own business, so he found a bankrupt company in Victoria, CFAX Radio, and negotiated for the purchase of CFAX Radio.
In '67, Claire said, you know, Keith, this city needs a Chamber of Commerce that works. And he said, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to go work for the Chamber and rebuild the Chamber. I'm going to got a guy named Brian Small, and he says, you're going to have to run the radio station because between the two of us, we got to get this community going. So I ran the station, and he put 2 years into the Chamber of Commerce as the president.
Pretty well everyone will remember about my dad is that he had this idea of a magic wand, and he would meet regularly with people who were stuck in their businesses, not really happy with where they were or in their careers. And my dad said, well, okay, if you had a magic wand, what would you do? And they said, oh, well, if I had a magic wand, I'd quit this business and do this. And, well, why don't you try? And my dad's magic wand idea would often inspire people to say, okay, I'm going to do that. And at age 50, they would start again. At his funeral, many of you remember, my sister got 50 magic wands so that everybody who walked through the door could hold on to a magic wand, and that was a really nice moment.
We deal with solutions, not problems. And if you walked into his office, you better have walked in with a solution, not a problem.
Claire Copeland is represented here tonight by his son Dale, who is accepting the award. Also his daughter Wendy, son-in-law Buzz are here, along with many friends and colleagues. Their Bentwood Box Award is being presented by Chamber Board member and Governor Dan Dagg. Congratulations to Claire and his family here tonight. Congratulations. Our next Hall of Fame inductee is known as a hard hat visionary. Ian Maxwell champions the protection and preservation of industrial lands and the jobs they provide here in Greater Victoria.
What do I think of Ian Maxwell? He's a champion of the working harbour, and many of the companies he's acquired and properties acquired are all in the Upper Harbour here. And I first ran into Ian in 1994 when he purchased the property at the Victoria Machinery Depot.
In our culture, creation stories are really important because when you know where you've come from, you know where you're going. And Ian Maxwell is a part of the creation story of Salish Sea Industrial Services.
When Point Hope Maritime went bankrupt in 2003, Ian saw an opportunity to secure this large waterfront property as industrial land for future generations.
We had a small group of electricians that were dealing with in-service support for ship repair and doing minor modifications. Coming to Point Hope really brought us to the front of being able to be a full-service marine electrical contractor.
Ian is a fierce industrialist, and he's known for that all over this community. He's a real advocate for preserving industrial lands because those lands are important to preserve trades jobs. Within that too, he's created jobs for 11 different companies here in the community, and we're now looking to be a world force in some of the industries that we actually support.
On behalf of all the employees at United Engineering and the Ralmax Group, I'd like to congratulate you, Ian, on this award.
Thank you so much for being a part of our nations and for creating these opportunities and working alongside us. HK CMCA.
Congratulations on your award, and the consistent work in Victoria is really important to us and our families. Thank you.
Thanks, appreciate it, thank you.
Accepting the award tonight from Keith Barbone of Cascadia Liquor on behalf of Ian Maxwell is Gary Leibel, CFO of Ralmax Group of Companies. Congratulations to Ian, his family, and the Ralmax team represented here tonight. Congratulations. Our next inductee was known as a community connector and education advocate. Ron Lupoy was tireless in his support of the Chinese business community and many Greater Victoria organizations.
Being the second Asian lawyer in our province, that was a big deal. I've seen the picture in the law faculty at UBC, and it does actually state he was the second Asian person. Another Asian fellow beat him by a year. He was a lawyer for Crease Harman and Company in Victoria. He was the Chancellor at University of Victoria for 2 terms, and even before then he donated his time for the university and helped them for many years there.
A few of my dad's accomplishments would be the harmonious gates in Victoria's Chinatown, working behind the scenes for things like the Genghis Khan exhibit, for the Commonwealth Games.
The impact I saw most was within the community and how he really got the community together. We would go to certain events and I would see certain political people at these events that were recognizable, and he had an innate ability to bring people together and at these social events and introduce people.
The impact that my dad made on the Victoria business community was that he really helped to make it a better place. He really used his education and his experience, his expertise, to create opportunities for other business owners so that they could create opportunities for other people.
He was a hard act to follow, but I respected everything he did and learned a lot from him. I hope I can only be a small portion of what he taught me, and I just, as a son of his, I am really proud of everything he's done.
Ron Lupoy, an inductee this evening, represented by his wife, May Lupoy. May, we're so glad you're here. Thank you so much, and congratulations once again to Ron Lupoy and his family and friends and former colleagues at Crease Harman Law. Okay, we're going to take one more break before we wrap it up here at the Greater Victoria Business Hall of Fame. Let's have a big round of applause, shall we, for tonight's inaugural business inductees to the Hall of Fame.
Support for our local businesses is more important than ever. That's why RBC has partnered with the Chamber Business Hall of Fame Awards to celebrate the positive role models who have paved the way for the success of so many Victoria businesses. We are inspired by this diverse group of visionary leaders. On behalf of my colleagues who live and work in Greater Victoria, I thank you for joining us in honoring leaders who have helped our community prosper.
Some incredibly hardworking, dedicated people this evening, haven't we? They have all broken barriers, built communities, and created opportunities for the future and our future leaders. It has been my great pleasure to host this evening and learn more about how our business community has grown and the legacy it's left and how it will continue to grow for the next 50 years or more. For final words tonight, please welcome back John Wilson, Chamber Board Chair and President and CEO of the Wilsons Group of Companies, and Bruce Williams, CEO of the Greater Victoria Chamber of Commerce. Thanks, everyone. Have a wonderful night. It's been such a great honor to be here with you.
Stacey, I know how often you're asked to do things in your own time at night and on weekends. We very much appreciate how professional you are and the time you've given to us tonight. So thank you. So we will once again be inducting individuals, families, and businesses into the Greater Victoria Business Hall of Fame in 2024. We hope to see you all there. I want to say again a sincere thank you to our partners at RBC for their support in launching the Hall of Fame, to all the companies who stepped up to support this endeavor, and you will see their names on your Check TV screen in just a couple of moments when we wrap things up. John, over to you.
Thanks, Bruce. Well, what an incredible evening. I'd like to thank again the businesses who made this fabulous event possible. The Business Hall of Fame is proudly presented by RBC. Our premium sponsors include TELUS Business, Victoria Foundation, Thrifty Foods, our VIP reception sponsor, Westbuild, our dinner sponsors, Cascadia Liquor and Royal Caribbean Group, our supporting sponsors, City of Victoria, Commissionaires, Oak Bay Marine Group, our media sponsors, Times Colonist, Czech, and Aspen Films. Finally, I'd like to acknowledge all the hard work that went into this evening and this event. Thank you to everybody who helped pull this gala together. I'd like to give a big shout out to our Chamber Board and to our staff for their tireless work to keep the Chamber strong. I'll tell you, I'm going off script here, by the way. I became the chair in January 2020. As you can well imagine, a lot has happened since then. And the world has changed quite a lot since then. What hasn't changed is the steadfast hard work of our chamber board, our chamber staff, and our board, but our staff led by Bruce Williams, Cheryl, and Ashley, who leads the event team, and they just do a fantastic job representing the business community. I'm so proud to be the chair of the board, and we made it through, and it's so great to see Victoria back together again and have this event tonight. So again, thank you so much for joining us here tonight. It was so great to see everybody, and thank you for your continued support, and have a fantastic evening. Drive safe. Thank you again.